The aroma of butter and wine enveloped the luxurious restaurant Orequinte. The chandeliers, with their golden lights, kissed the polished wooden tables, where gentlemen in impeccable suits discussed business and ladies with sparkling jewels savored bubbly waters. Waiters glided through the hall with perfectly balanced trays, as if floating. It was a place of discreet elegance and hushed murmurs, until the oak board creaked, announcing a presence that broke the harmony like a dissonant note. A strange, almost palpable silence filled the room when a small figure appeared at the entrance. Barefoot and visibly fragile, the girl was clad in a gray hoodie that looked like a huge sack covering her thin body. Her face was dirty, her hair a cloud of tangled knots. Deep eyes, full of apprehension and hope, scanned the room with evident nervousness. The patrons, previously engrossed in their conversations, turned in unison, forks suspended and glasses forgotten. A lady near the window, wearing a pearl necklace, whispered to her companion, "What is that child doing here?" A man with a flashy bow tie grumbled, barely containing his indignation, "Who let her in?" But the girl, oblivious or indifferent to the stares and whispers, continued her journey. Her bare feet, dirty but firm, slid silently over the polished marble floor, guiding her towards the main counter. Behind it, a silver-haired man, elegant in his navy blue suit, leaned in, conversing in a low voice with one of the waitresses. His silver strands caught the light from the chandeliers, gleaming like polished steel. It was Elias Ventura, a name that resonated power and fortune throughout the city. Known for his ability to command respect with a single glance, he was not the kind of person someone, much less a street child, would simply approach. But the girl, perhaps out of ignorance or desperation, was not intimidated. Finally, she reached the counter, and her small, trembling, marked hands rested on the cold marble edge. Her nails were broken, her palms calloused, witnesses to countless nights sleeping on icy sidewalks. Her voice, almost a whisper, faltered as it broke the silence that had settled. "Sir, could I wash dishes for a plate of food?" Orequinte seemed to freeze. The clinking of cutlery stopped, conversations ceased completely. Even the ambient music, previously imperceptible, seemed to have fallen silent. Elias Ventura slowly straightened up, turning to face the girl. His expression remained impassive, but his eyes, a deep gray like storm clouds, fixed on her small, dirty face. She flinched under the weight of his gaze, but a thread of courage kept her from backing down. In the corners of the hall, new whispers began to circulate, louder now. "Who could she be?" a voice asked. "She must have snuck in," another said. "Where's the manager?" And, as if to emphasize the urgency of her plea, the girl's stomach rumbled loudly, an embarrassing sound that echoed in the silence. Ashamed, she bit her cracked lip and tried to control her voice. "I can also clean the tables or sweep the floor. Please, anything, just a little food." Elias Ventura didn't say a word. The waitress beside him cleared her throat nervously and asked in a low voice, "Do you want me to call security, sir?" The magnate merely raised his hand, a subtle gesture that ended any questioning. "No," he pronounced, his voice low but firm, a single word that sealed the fate of that moment. Elias Ventura scrutinized the girl with a penetrating gaze. The hoodie had tears at the elbows, and her thin legs were covered in dirt, but her posture was surprisingly upright. Her eyes, though distressed, did not beg for pity, but for a chance. Elias recognized that look, for he himself had carried it decades ago. Before the fortune, before the impeccable suits, he too had asked for scraps in places that smelled of hope and food, but which denied him anything. He raised a finger to his partners, who were murmuring behind him, bothered by the scene. "Silence," he commanded. The girl still waited, her hands now trembling uncontrollably, but her feet firm. Elias let out a long sigh and rested both hands flat on the marble. "What's your name?" he asked, with unexpected gentleness. She blinked, surprised. "Lila." How old are you, Leela? 10, she whispered. Where are your parents? Her lips pressed together. She shook her head, her voice barely audible. I don't have any. A shiver ran through the hall. Some patrons shifted in their chairs, uncomfortable. Others stared openly, eager for Elias Ventura's reaction. He drummed his finger on the marble. 1, 2, 3 times. Then he leaned forward, his eyes fixed on hers. Why wash dishes, specifically? Leela frowned, thinking, Because I can't afford it, and I don't steal. So I thought if I worked, maybe I could get something to eat. Elias's throat tightened. The memory of a distant day when he was her age, paralyzed in front of a bakery, his stomach churning with hunger, and the voice of a baker, if you want bread, you have to earn it. But no one had given him the chance. The waitress, once again, whispered, Shall I bring her something to eat, sir? Elias blinked. What should I, he began, and then, in a loud, firm voice so the entire room could hear, everything. Bring her a plate with everything, and a glass of milk. A collective gasp echoed through the tables. This girl doesn't need to wash dishes to have food, Elias declared. Not while I'm here. Leela stared at him, her eyes wide, almost shocked. But I said I would work. Elias interrupted her with unexpected gentleness. You've worked enough, haven't you? Her lower lip trembled, and she nodded once, a silent tear escaping. Elias signaled to the waitress, Find a table for her, the cleanest and most discreet, and bring a warm blanket from the stock, please. The voices in the restaurant rose in more audible murmurs. Why is he helping? Asked one. She's just a street child, commented another. Elias is gone mad. But the magnate didn't care. For the first time in years, the opinions of the room were insignificant to him. He turned to Leela and said softly, with a gentle smile, Sit down, little one. You'll eat first. Then we'll talk about what we'll do next. A confused buzz spread through the refinement restaurant as Elias watched the girl, that fragile, dirty, and hungry child, sit down hesitantly at the corner table. A carefully folded napkin and a glass of fresh milk were placed in front of her, but she touched nothing. She cast nervous glances at the door, as if expecting to be thrown out at any moment. Elias's colleagues, who had approached, whispered behind him, Elias, this isn't your problem. She's probably a con artist. Let her go before this turns into a scandal. But Elias didn't move. For years, he had built his empire stone by stone, from a hungry boy on the streets to one of the most influential men in the city. He had everything money could buy. And yet, looking at Leela, with her thin fingers trembling, he remembered the pang of hunger in his own stomach at 10 years old. He remembered being told, if you want something, you have to earn it, and how no one had ever lent him a hand. Never, not once. Elias moved away from the counter and approached her table. Leela looked up, startled, like a small trapped animal. You don't need to eat quickly, he said softly. Take your time. Here, you are safe. Her brow furrowed in confusion. Why are you helping me? He pulled out the chair opposite and sat down. Because I know what it's like to be you, Elias said, his voice laden with memories. Hungry, alone, and feeling invisible to the world. Leela shook her head in disbelief. You're rich, you don't know. He smiled slightly. Do you think I was born in this suit, Leela? She hesitated. Elias's voice softened even more. When I was your age, I begged for food in places like this, but they wouldn't even let me in. I slept in alleys, did odd jobs to survive. It took years until someone saw me as something more than a burden. Leela blinked, surprised. I thought that if one day I got somewhere, Elias continued, I would do everything so no child would feel the way I felt. And did you keep that promise? She asked quietly. Elias looked at his own hands with a hint of sadness. No, I got too busy. I forgot. The waitress, now understanding the situation, brought plate after plate. Warm, soft bread, a succulent roasted chicken, bowls of steaming soup. Leela looked at them as if they were the most precious jewels. Go ahead, Elias encouraged, with warmth in his gaze. It's all for you. She picked up a piece of bread with extreme care, held it for an instant as if it were a treasure, and then bit into it. The tears came at once, hot and abundant. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked. Elias clasped his hands. "Where have you been sleeping these days?" "At the old station," she murmured. "Mommy used to take me there, before she didn't wake up anymore." Elias's chest tightened with a familiar ache. "Have you been alone since then?" he asked, his voice a little hoarser. She nodded. "Why didn't you ask for help sooner, Leela?" "Everyone said no," she replied, her voice hardened by hurt. "Or they told me to leave." Elias felt the weight of those words. While she ate, he took out his phone. His driver answered immediately. "Go to the back entrance," Elias said. "We have a new guest." When Lila finally finished eating, her stomach satisfied for the first time in a long while, she looked at Elias, still a little cautious. "I'll clean everything up now," she said, as I promised. Elias shook his head. "You don't need to clean anything, Leela." "But I said," she insisted. "You don't owe me anything, Leela. You needed help, and that's enough." "Why are you really doing this, sir?" she asked, innocence in her voice. Elias hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because I should have done it a long time ago," he finally said. "And because no child should ever have to beg for food." When they stood up, the hall seemed to divide into two worlds. On one side, the elegant magnate and the street girl. On the other, a sea of shocked faces, watching with disbelief and confusion. Elias didn't care. He gently placed his hand on Lila's small shoulder. "Would you allow me to take you somewhere safe?" he asked, his eyes full of a new promise. She stiffened. "Where?" "To my home, Leela. First, you'll have a warm room, food, new clothes. Then, we'll think together about what to do next, about your future." Tears of hope and relief welled up in her eyes. "Are you sure?" she whispered. Elias's voice trembled, loaded with genuine emotion. "I've never been so sure in my life." Years passed, and Au Requinte restaurant continued to be a stage for stories. One day, Lila sat at the same corner table, but now she wore clean, elegant clothes. Her hair was carefully combed, gleaming. A school backpack rested discreetly at her feet. Elias Ventura sat opposite her, his eyes shining with pride, as she, with a radiant smile, recounted her first day of college. No one stared at her with judgment anymore. No one whispered with disdain. She was no longer a stranger. She was Elias's daughter, in all that truly mattered, living proof that kindness can transform destinies and rekindle hope. If you were moved by this journey of transformation and generosity, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more exciting, dramatic, and surprising stories. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from now. We love knowing where our community follows us from. Until next time, and remember, be kind, cultivate curiosity, and stay tuned for more inspiring moments.